thank you all for joining us here again on another episode of StormWatch. I'm your host, John Willis, here with your co-host, Brad Willis, here to discuss the most recent week for the Carolina Hurricanes. So we'll start with a brief recap before opening up the discussion on the team's recent success, the goaltending, Sebastian Aho's selection for the All-Star game. But let's go ahead and get into it, break down the week that was. Sorry for the delay here. We're trying out a new program to record these podcasts on, so working around all the bugs on that. But sorry for the delay here, but let's get into it. A week ago, we are recording this on Tuesday. This will come out hopefully on Wednesday. A week ago, January 2nd, the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Rangers and beat down the Rangers 6-1. That was a really good game, and I believe with that win, we also secured the second spot of the division, and we've been riding that since then. But 6-1. Jack Drury got the scoring started on the power play, a minute 49 into the game, and then late in the period, Svechnikov also on the power play. That was a spectacular goal. Aho with a fantastic no-look pass finds the seam for Svechnikov on a one-time. I mean, it was just a thing of beauty.
That same play comes back in the next game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a carbon copy in the next game, but continue, please.
Yeah. Then in the second period, the Rangers do get their lone goal off of the game. It's a deflection past Kochetkov by Chris Kreider. Who else? At 4:30 into the second period. But Jordan Martinook would answer about 2 minutes later at 6:32 into the period. Puts home a nice effort from kind of a rebound, I believe. Puts it in close, roofs it. Stahl with the assist on that one. Then in the third, the floodgates really open. We've got 3 goals. Jalen Chatfield with his 4th of the season, Andrei Svechnikov with his 2nd of the game, and then Michael Bunting at the 15:49 mark of the third period ends it there. That was a really nice backhand pass from Lemieux to feed Bunting for that extra insurance goal.
That was a beautiful pass.
Yeah, it was a really
beautiful
good game.
Pass.
Just all around a really good game. The shot total in that game was relatively close, if I remember, but it's not like the Rangers had, any particularly good looks by any means. Yeah, shots were 27 Carolina to actually 29 for the Rangers. Your faceoffs were 30-29 for Carolina. Block shots 10-9 for Carolina. Hits were 11-18 for the Rangers on that one. So power play 2 for 4 for the Hurricanes and 0 for 3 for the Rangers. So we were excellent on the special teams all night, PK and power play, 2 for 4 in the power play. Just excellent. Excellent all around.
Yeah, the announcers before the game, or at some point in the game, I think that was before the game, the Canes power play's 5th now, 26.6%. But Rangers were number 1 on the power play, and we held them to no goals.
Yeah, they've
on
been
3
living and
attempts.
dying. Well, I shouldn't say living and dying. They've been living mostly by their power play. They've been, had an excellent record, but the power play is a large reason of that. That is something that, maybe, I don't want to say it's a concern yet. We haven't really seen anything that would lead me to believe otherwise, but the 5-on-5, we have been scoring a lot on the power play, and we haven't been scoring as much on 5-on-5, as evidenced by the game against the St. Louis Blues later in the week. The one goal of that game for us was on the power play. We didn't get another power play opportunity that game. We were 100%, but we weren't able to score 5-on-5. We had a bunch of good looks. We'll get into that once we do start discussing that game. But just something I wanted to bring up as we were talking about that this game here and the Rangers' success on the power play. But this was a huge statement game for me, for Carolina, and on the Christmas special, my New Year's resolution for the team was get 3 wins in a row. Right. They accomplished that before the New Year's, so then the next one would be, challenge the Rangers for, top of the division here. I thought, it's probably not likely that we're able to do it just because of the games at hand. They still got 5 points on us. But, if we keep it up and keep playing the way we're playing, I don't see why it can't at least get close. And so Carolina ends up winning 5 in a row. They do go ahead and take the next game there versus Washington Capitals. Before we jump on to that game, did you have any other thoughts on this game here?
No. Just one thing I noticed. A couple comments. There was a comment made during the game during a penalty kill that the Canes had killed off 25 of 27 of their last power penalty kills.
Yep.
That's phenomenal. And then I made a note later on in the fourth period. I can't remember exactly what happened, but Kochetkov needs some puck handling classes. I think we need to enlist Marty Brodeur to come over and spend a couple days with Kochetkov
Lack
because
of skill, because I think his ability with the puck is fantastic. I think he just doesn't know. He doesn't speak English. I think is the main issue.
he doesn't know what.
He doesn't
What?
speak English very well. So when the guys are yelling at him to do something with the puck, he doesn't know what they're asking him to do.
Look, it's just like we said about Burns. Grab the puck and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay? He wants to hold on to it a while.
Are you talking about when he got pinned behind the boards and had
The-
to make the? Oh, that was a great play.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets turned around, but he bails himself out.
Yeah, he's just lucky there was only one player there
Yeah.
and not a couple. So I'm just saying he needs more work on that. Pesci late in the game, great block, which is really strange. He didn't really have to do it. Game was in hand, but he made a good block. I've heard the THC, the hockey guy, say maybe last year it was that the sign of a well-coached team is one that keeps playing no matter what the score is, their style. And the Canes have shown over the years they through Brenda Moore's coaching they're very consistent in sticking with their game plan.
Yeah, and that's something that, as a fan, it's hard to see, especially if you're watching each individual game. But you really do need to step back and look at the team from a macro level to understand that there's really, early in the season, there were really just a couple tweaks, a couple players that needed to play little bit better in certain ways. And in particular, obviously, the goaltending. And we were not too far away from being the team that we were last year, right? So, and I know I was in that camp too, where I was, panicking. Hey, we're, the Christmas special. Just go listen to that. We're not in a playoff spot at that. At that point, we were, it was a little gloom and doomy.
It was a little iffy,
and there's still reason to, have questions. It's 2 weeks. It's it's not a long stretch of the season. It's only 2 weeks straight where we're pretty darn dominant. But yeah, I mean, it's important to look at the team from a big scope out. And Brenda Moore gave a good interview on I believe what's their name, Giglio and Ogilvy or something. I can't remember. They're two local radio guys. But anyways, I'll send you the link for that. You'll enjoy it. But yeah, the team has looked a lot better.
Yeah, it's always nice to beat a top-ranked goaltender like Shesterkin and beat him soundly.
Yeah, we've beaten some good opponents lately. We've beat Vegas, right? Pretty handily. We beat the Rangers here, pretty much a beatdown. We've had some really good wins lately. We beat Toronto. We got some retribution against Nashville, who's been playing well. So Canes are playing well. Okay, let's move on to the next game there, which is the Washington Capitals. Okay, 6-2 was the final score of this one. Nason, Natchez, and Fast were out for this game. Fast had a head contact. Was it the game prior, right? It was that. It
was the game prior to the Rangers game.
Yeah, no ill intent by the Rangers players. It looked like a clean hit to me. Just kind of, tough hit. Got his head rattled a little bit. But I think hopefully he'll be back. But it's been at least 2 games now.
No, he was out before the Rangers. Who do we play before the Rangers? That's the team that knocked him out.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't. He didn't play in the Rangers game.
Play with the Rangers game. Okay, that's right. Oh, that's right, because Lemieux slotted in for that game. So
yeah.
You're absolutely right. But yeah, Natchez, Nason, and Fast were all out for the game against the Capitals, which was a 6-2 victory. Carolina goes with 11 forwards and 7 D. Tony D does slot in. He only had like 3.5 minutes of ice time. So, I don't know, 3-4 shifts maybe.
Hmm.
He is a -1 in that 3 minutes. But I was watching the play. I would say that it's probably more of a Drury error on that play that leads to the goal. Just kind of a missed assignment there. Quick play, just you know.
Yeah.
But the Capitals actually go up 2-0 in the first period. But overall, Carolina did have better play, in my opinion, in that first period. In the second, Brent Burns fires home a shot to make it 2-1, sneaking in the slot and receiving a pretty deceptive pass there from Svechnikov. He was
Yeah.
hollering for it. And then in the third, the floodgates open as Carolina scores 5 to win 6-2. Again, another really dominating performance from Carolina. Took till late into the game, but the effort was there all night, and they were the better team all night. Slight
Hmm.
miscue on the first goal, like I said. Tony was on the ice, but I think maybe probably a Drury missed defensive assignment there. And then KK takes a penalty, in that first, but he's only trying. He's trying to work hard to get a loose puck and not intending to trip the guy, but it ends up being that they get a power play goal off of it. Ovi kind of fakes his patented one-timer and finds, I believe it's Nick Dowd in the slot. I can't remember who ends up putting it home, but a good
Yeah, it's doubt.
play. Coach Chekhov really doesn't have much. It's really tough to ask him for a save on that one. But yeah, he was really good and really steady the rest of the night. He didn't really have a lot of good saves that he needed to make, just because the Canes D was pretty stingy. But yeah, definitely some notable stories in that game. Let me go ahead and look at the actual scoring stats here. So Nick Dowd and Dylan Strome for the Capitals get started in the first period. Brent Burns, like I said, in the second. Then Seth Jarvis, Andrei Svechnikov on the power play. Brent Burns again on the power play. Dmitry Orlov with a shorthanded and empty net goal. And then Vasily Ponomarov gets his first NHL goal after getting his first NHL assist earlier in the game on the tying goal from Seth Jarvis. Makes he had a good game. It was really exciting to see him, but some notable
It's fun
stories of
watching
the
him
night.
out there.
Yeah, some
It's
notable. Go ahead.
no, it's just you can tell that he's a little bit overwhelmed, but he has energy and he wants to participate, wants to contribute. But he's very conscious. I noticed this in the Capitals game. He's very conscious of his defensive positioning.
Yes.
So a lot of times I'll see him circle back away from the puck to be in a
Yes.
defensive position. So that's a good sign.
I was just
Um,
rewatching the Blues game, and I was noticing that as well. Yeah,
yeah,
he might not fully understand the system, but he's certainly trying to, and
yeah.
it's evident in the way that he was playing these two games. He does get sent back down to the AHL. I guess probably some of these guys that we mentioned earlier, Natchez,
Coming off.
Fast, are probably coming back up from
Yeah.
injury. But the other notable stories of the night would be Dmitry Orlov. He had his first game back to DC after having been with the organization for 7 years and winning a cup. They gave him a really nice long ovation, which was
They
really nice
did.
to see. And you could tell he really appreciated it. Took a nice moment on the ice by himself. On the tying goal by Jarvis, which was assisted off by Ponomarov, the play actually gets started by Orlov, who gets a secondary assist on the play. He takes the
Hmm.
puck, skates it really hard behind the net, ends up drawing some contact with the Washington defender there. Ponomarov picks up the loose puck, finds Jarvis. Jarvis backhands it through Kemper there. So really nice play by him. And then later in the game, he did have a empty net goal, which was technically also a shorthanded goal. So good for him. He really had his back up against the wall for that one, behind our goal line. I mean, it's about as far as you can shoot the puck and have it go in the net. He was all the way back there and chucked it over a bunch of guys. And
Hey, let me ask you a
got
question about that.
yeah.
Did he whiff on his first attempt?
Yeah, he swung, missed it, and then was able
That's what I
to
thought.
got the
And then he
wherewithal
regrouped, and
to
then
gather, and yeah.
maybe that helped him. Maybe that helped him focus. Um, but Washington missed an opportunity. I mean, the game was over by then. So
Yeah, well, yeah, that was the fifth goal of the game at that point. Yeah, fifth goal of the game. Washington was on the power play at that point, so technically a shorthanded goal. But yeah, a good game from him. Svechnikov also had a great game. 1 goal, 2 assists. Aho, 3 assists in the game. Burns, 2 goals, 1 assist, staying hot. Power play staying hot. Penalty kill staying hot. You know,
Same three.
yep.
Same three that have been scoring a lot of a lot of points.
We did give up a power play goal, or we gave up a goal on the penalty kill to Washington, but they only had, out of their 3 opportunities, that was their only shot on net for all 3 of their power plays, and they happened to get it in the back of the net. So really
Yeah.
good. The PK's been excellent. As much as the power play has been good, the PK should be getting as much, if not more, love. The PK is returning
Yeah.
to the levels that we were hoping it would be, if not even excelling it, especially recently. And Kochetkov played very well again. Didn't have to make any like fantastic saves or anything that come to mind. But most importantly, he's not letting in any soft goals. Right, you're getting that reliable.
Yeah, I think his stats suffered only because Capitals weren't shooting. You didn't have any shots on goal, that many.
Yeah, shot. Yeah, he lets in 2 on 17, so that's
Right.
less than 1 out of 10 for sure. So it
Yeah.
does actually harm his save percentage, but he was good. I don't fault him on either of the goals. Um, One was a
I agree.
deflection on a power play, and the other one was a guy left alone, 1-on-1 versus the keeper, and really good shot beats him actually. So, any other thoughts on that game? Just
No, at the
dominating.
beginning of the game, I wrote down a note that said it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see what Orlov and Pacioretty do in this game.
No, that's a good. I'm glad
Pacioretty did hit a
he
post,
did hit the post.
but I don't know what his
Post.
minutes were.
Yeah, it was a good shot too.
Pacioretty, time on ice, 14:31,
That's
time on
pretty good.
ice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, got 1 assist. No. Sorry, take that back. He got no points.
Yeah, no.
He took 3 shots. 1
it,
hit the post.
it was good to see him back on the ice. He definitely had that shot off the post. It was a really nice shot.
Yeah, it's a 2-on-1.
Mm-hmm. Any other
Yeah.
thoughts
Okay.
on that game? Yeah, I think we can move
No,
on.
no, that's. It was good to face a goaltender that was actually statistically worse off than Peter. Kemper's not having a great year. He is 9-8, was 9-8-2, but his save was 893, and he's giving up over 3 goals a game.
Is Piotr's stats still that bad? You mean Ronta's stats?
Kemper's,
I know you said Kemper's is worse than.
Kochetkov's.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Kochetkov's are getting much better, aren't they?
Yeah. He's above 900, and he's at 2.53.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it was interesting to finally come up against a goaltender that was having an off year.
Yeah. I think Kemper's probably past his heyday.
Is he?
I think so. I think Lindgren's their guy now.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. Let's move on to the next game: the Blues versus the Hurricane. The Blues at Carolina at PNC. It's a back-to-back game there, so kind of another road game, if you will. Only because you do have to travel home. You don't get to rest at home. You travel home and then have to turn around and play immediately. It was a good game overall. The score was only 2-1. It does end in a shootout, but I thought it was a pretty entertaining game. The Blues get off to 1-0 lead as Walker comes through on a breakaway to beat Ronta. As much as we were praising Orlov, he does make a little bit of a misread here. I think he's trying to do the right thing, but he's not an outfielder.
It was more than a little. He missed that puck by 10 foot. I don't know what he was thinking. He lost it in the sun, I guess.
The defender for the Blues lofts the puck up in the air. He's trying to find it and catch it. He ends up jumping. It still goes over his head by, like you said, 5 feet, and falls to the Blues player who is alone for a breakaway.
Yeah.
He does beat Ronta. Ronta was sharp in this game. We'll touch upon him later, but do note that first goal does go 5-hole. Okay. Turbo then keeps the power play hot. The only power play effort for the night for the Hurricanes. They were 1 for 1. Turbo picks up a puck from a face-off play and is able to slide it through traffic and beat Bennington. Bennington had an excellent night tonight. It really was kind of a goaltending duel for a large portion of this game, and he was excellent as well. Yeah, they were pushing against the Blues in this game, but also pushing against their own fatigue levels, right? Just being a back-to-back like it was. The effort was there. In every period they outshot them. It was like first period was only 6-5, then it was something like 13-7 in the second period. Outshot them in the third. In overtime, they had one more shot than us, but no one ended up scoring in the overtime session. Yeah, what were your thoughts on this game? I mean, the Canes were a better team all night, in my opinion.
Yeah, what was interesting about it, some of my mental notes were as I'm watching it, maybe midway through the game, I'm watching the Blues, and I made a comment in my notes that they're playing very methodical. They reminded me of the Islanders to some extent. Just they weren't trying to do much stretching. They were just trying to move the puck up the ice through the neutral zone. Um, I
That's that
agree
new
with you on the
coach
fatigue
mentality.
comment. Sorry, go ahead.
That's the new coach mentality. They're getting back to basics. They fired Berube not too long ago. They got this new coach in there, so back to basics. They started playing a little bit more, structurally
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. Um, the fatigue, I noticed it. The first time I really noticed it was the start of the third period. There was like 8 minutes, maybe not quite 8, but both teams were just like, it was just weird. It was like, are we playing a game or are we just skating around?
Yeah,
Because even the announcer said this game's kind of bogged down.
yeah. I mean, shots were only 6-5 in the first period. That's just pretty low.
For the third period?
No, for the first period. For the third period,
Yeah, no, I know. My notes say that Carolina had their first shot at 9:13.
oh wow,
So
really?
over 10 minutes before the Carolina even had its first shot on goal.
Yeah. Now, late in that period, though, there was quite a flurry in front of Binnington, and he was excellent. Orlov actually rings it off the post, off the crossbar with a slap shot. So we had the opportunities there. Shot total was 30-22 for Carolina on the night. Block shots were 25-13 for the Blues. So just goes to show if you kind of put those block shots on either side, we outshoot them by an even larger margin.
Yeah.
Hits were 10-12. 12 in favor of Carolina, 31-23 in favor of the faceoffs for Carolina, and then 1-for-1 on the power play, and we held
No
that
penalties that game.
scoreless. Yeah, one penalty for each team. Really clean game. Probably going back to that fatigue. They're just too tired to keep
Now,
chasing.
now I will say this: in the first period, at the 8:50, where was it? No, it was even before the 10-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Krug shoulders Stahl in the head and rattles him pretty good.
Mm.
I don't know if you caught that.
I
And I was very thankful that Stahl got back in the game, but he was
he had a
laboring
good
to
game.
get.
He had a good game. He had a couple good looks.
Yeah, and he did. So because he got pissed off,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
Stahl when he gets pissed off, it ramps his energy up a
oh,
little bit.
definitely.
But I don't know if the NHL, if the head office had gone back and looked at that, but it was, and because once it happened,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll give Krug this. He knew that he just shouldn't have done what he did because he looked right away at Stahl after he hit him. Stahl kind of turned into him a little bit, but if you watch the replay, Krug definitely sticks his shoulder into Stahl's chin.
I'll have to go back and watch that. I don't even.
Yeah, it's at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I don't even recall that.
No, nothing other than Orlov's um, botched pop-up attempt. There was a period in the, I guess it's in the, second period where Drury got the puck. I want to say like at about the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Offensive
you
zone?
remember this? He got the puck with his back to the goal, and there was no one around him. And he didn't just turn and drive. He was looking for someone to pass it to, and he actually passed, I think, backwards or sideways.
But he finds the open man who was coming in with speed. Is that what you're talking about? He does make a good pass.
Yeah, I don't know that he was coming in with that much speed, but
I mean,
I'm just saying, Drury, if he would have turned, he could have skated a couple yards and got off a wrist shot. It just seemed to me
you
that
can
he was
pass the
kind
puck
of
1,000 times faster than you can skate the puck. It was a good play. I know exactly what you're talking about.
we agree to
All
disagree.
right, I agree to disagree on that one. I mean, I
Because
think
I
he's
don't
played
see
well
anything that
overall.
says it was a shot
The,
on
the the
goal.
lines have been interesting with Natchez out. You know, you've got KK and Drury playing together, so hopefully Drury can elevate KK's game. But they are on the same line,
Yeah.
kind of two centers on the same line there. It seems like, at least from the face-off perspective, that Drury's taking most of them, but that'll probably go back to normal once these guys do return. Natchez, like I said, has been out, and we've got a 4-day break before they get back into action on Thursday versus the Ducks for Star Wars night. So that'll be exciting. I'm going to that game.
Star Wars night?
Star Wars night, yeah. Now, in the overtime session, Ronta makes some really good saves. Bennington makes some good saves. There were some good looks for both teams, but it does go to the shootout. Everyone at least hit the net on their shootout attempts, other than Martinook misses just a little bit wide. Bennington was good. I will say that
Yeah,
as much
he
as
was.
we would like to win on this shootout, that's not the way the game is played. In the end, as long as we're making the playoffs and not missing the playoffs because we're not winning shootouts, then I don't really have an issue with, our lack of performance in the shootout. That being said, I do think this most recent round, the guys did all have a game plan, and they just couldn't execute. Like, Bennington was good. He was good in the shootout. So yeah, you'd like to win that
Yeah, I
one.
mean, Svetch came fairly close in his patented backhand to forehand
I
shot.
wish,
It
I
just
wish,
caught
I
the.
Yeah, I wish he would vary that up a little bit more in a case, because he's done it before. We've seen him go back, fake that and then go back to the backhand. He
Yeah, he
just
can do that.
he just doesn't do it enough, and he certainly should at least add another, option there.
But if
Because
you look
it
at
is a
that
hard save.
play,
It's a really hard save to make if he does do it perfectly. But
right, if you look at that move, the puck just caught the top edge of the pads of
yeah,
Bennington,
yeah,
and it was so close. It was a half inch from being a great shot.
yeah. A lot of guys use that same move, especially on
That said, I think maybe I don't know that I would have chose either Barnes or Marty. Excuse me, Burns or Marty for the face-off.
You mean shootout?
Shootout. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would have liked to try the young was Pomerano in that game?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think I would have tried him just to see what the heck.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
I think Svetch, Turbo, and Aho are good choices. Um, I think maybe. I mean, if Natchez was in, I would probably put Natchez in there.
There's a reason that the guys that are selected are selected. I'm sure at the end of every practice, they go through and they run through and they do a little bit of shootouts. Maybe not every
Yeah.
practice, but they have statistics on who's the best at doing it. And they put those guys in. I'm certain that those are the guys that are chosen because they
Are they shooting against Bennington?
No, of course, they're shooting against our guys. But that's how it's going to look.
Okay. All right, let's go.
Okay. Final thoughts on the week. How we looking? I mean, I feel nothing but confidence at this point. There are still things to be on the lookout for. Let's get into our studs and duds. The stud of the week for me is going to be the consistency. We do drop the game, but we get 6 points. We get games in 6 points. We get points in 6 games straight. Okay, so that's really big. Last week we were 3-0. This week we were 2-0-1. Okay, but we're hot right now. So there's no reason
We're scoring a lot of goals outside of that St. Louis Blues game. We scored 6 against the Rangers, 6 against Capitals.
Right. And again, that Blues game is a back-to-back. The more and more I am aware of them, every time there's a back-to-back, I do tend to give the team a little bit of a pass because they really are brutal. I mean, I would imagine if you go back and look at our record for back-to-backs, the second one is always tougher. But yeah, that's my stud of the week. Go ahead. Who's your stud of the week?
Well, it's good to see Svechnikov. I mean, I got to be honest. When he came back, I was very worried because he just wasn't being physical. Maybe he was just nervous about playing on a kind of after surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he just looks like a guy who can control the game.
Yeah, his one-timer on the power play in particular is an added threat that he didn't have in seasons past. So
He's our most physical player
definitely, yeah.
because in the forecheck,
Him or Orlov, but yes, yeah.
yeah, I
On the
mean, in
offensive
different
side,
parts of the ice,
yeah.
right? Typically, when Svech is hitting someone, he's getting a head of steam up, where Orlov is more hitting them to stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marty's can be physical. Fast can be that the stall fast,
But just not in that same way. They're not
just
devastating
annoyingly
all the
physical.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're a grinding physical. Fetch is a stop you in your tracks, sit your ass
yeah.
on the ground type of physical.
Um, Ronta's heading in the right direction, I
Yep.
guess.
Yep. Yep.
That's
So he's,
good because that was really worrisome.
one thing I did want to mention about Ronta that I forgot to in the last game, the breakaway goal. You can't fault him for a breakaway. You can't fault him for a shootout. That being said, the goal that he does give up on the breakaway, I mentioned, was through the 5-hole. One of the goals in the shootout that he gives up is through the 5-hole. We know that that is a weakness of his, particularly in the games that led him getting sent down to the AHL. So just be on the lookout for that with Ronta. He was much better this game, even better than his first game back, which he got the W in that game. He doesn't get the win in this game.
Right.
But overall, I do think there's reason to be optimistic about his play. And maybe we'll probably talk about this maybe more next one, but we should probably get into that goalie conversation because it still is a conversation, where this team stands exactly on that. We'll talk about that next time. But yeah, those are your studs of the week. We've got the consistency has been excellent. Let's keep that going. Ronta on the up and up. Svechnikov playing great. And then Aho, let's go ahead and throw him out there as well.
Yeah.
He has 4 points in 3 games, 1 assist versus the Rangers, 3 assists versus the Capitals, no assists versus or no goals versus the Blues there, but only one person did get on the board. That was Teuvo Teravainen. But yeah, Aho, your all-star selection for the team. So he's been great. I think he's got, what is it? I've got his stats up here. He is at 46 points through not a full 46 games. How many games have we played so far? 30, I don't know how many games we've played. But he's on a more than a point per game pace, right? He is on pace to outperform every other season statistically that he's ever had. This is excellent news. This is why we paid him $9.75 million per year. So really good stuff out of him. Let's go ahead. Duds of the week. The dud of the week for me is Evgeny Kuznetsov with a boneheaded play to really cement his team's demise in their loss against the Hurricanes. We scored on the power play in the third period. As soon as we scored on that power play, I don't know what player it was for us, but he takes a jab with his stick at one of our players' skates right at his ankles, clips him. Our player goes down, draws another power play. Sure enough, we score on it. So, a big F you to Evgeny Kuznetsov, you fucking loser. Any dud of the week for you? I just thought I'd mention that one.
No, I just think we have guys that aren't they're not participating in our resurgence, right? Nate just comes to mind.
Well, he wasn't. He didn't play but one game this week.
I know, but Natchez and thankfully Turbo got a goal because he was starting to go into a trough.
KK still he did get an assist.
Oh, that's KK is what I was thinking about.
He did get an assist this week, but only one. So yeah, we got to get those guys activated. The team is winning without them being activated. If one of those guys gets a goal last game, though, we win that game. So need everyone buying in. We need everyone at least getting on the score sheet every now and then. Can't have guys, not pulling their weight.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. So one last thing about Ronta, we
Yeah.
didn't mention it. In the overtime, he makes two
Oh yeah. Huge plays.
fantastic saves. Oh
No,
my
he was
God! I
excellent.
wrote "Oh my God" down because that saved. Well, it didn't. I mean, eventually the Caps won, but at that time, it saved the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're talking about the one kind of late in the overtime
Yes.
period where he slides over, he makes the first initial save
And
off a
then
one
the
timer, and then the rebound he gets it as well. Yeah, it
gets
was
it with
a
his skate.
yeah
Tracy thought he got it with his open,
yeah he
his
gets it with his tippy toe.
oh yeah, he got it with the
Toe.
tip toe
Yep.
exactly.
No,
And you
no,
need that
Ronto was really
sometimes,
good in that
but
game. By far the most comfortable he's looked in net in quite some time. It's very encouraging his play, especially in that Blues game. He was
yeah,
excellent. He was really good. He was really good. And we know Binnington's a good goalkeeper, and he
yeah,
he's
Bennington's
at
a good
least as
goalie.
good as Binnington. So all in
So what we
all,
got coming up? We
positive.
have the Ducks on Thursday.
We've got the Ducks on Thursday. Let's see, we've got the Ducks on Thursday,
The
followed by the
Pens.
Penguins. So a very waterfowl infested week here,
Yeah.
and then next week we've got L.A. and Detroit with some time in between, 3 days in between, followed by Minnesota on the 21st. The last away game of January is the 24th versus Boston. Then we return home on a back-to-back versus the New Jersey Devils. And then the final game of January is on the 27th versus the Arizona Coyotes. So only one game in, away from PNC Arena for the rest of the month. Really, really good time for us to get hot. We are hot. We got to stay hot. This is the time to really, really close the gap if we are going to versus the Rangers. We've got space in between a lot of these games. 4 games, 4 days between the Blues and the Ducks. You just don't get that in the regular season. Four
Let's get a
4 days
rest.
break. That's a lot. Then every other day, you get a break. 3 days between LA and Detroit. Then there's a break. Then there's another 2-day break between Minnesota and Boston. Your only back to back is Boston and Jersey, which is a tough back to back, particularly because you are flying from Boston back to PNC for that game against the Devils, and both of those are good opponents, as we know. Particularly Jersey, I think, is getting better as of late. Boston is on the downward trend a little bit, but we know how dangerous they can be at any
They're
given.
dangerous,
So,
yeah.
yeah, really good time for the Hurricanes to start surging. Hopefully they can keep up with it. All reason to believe that they will. Everyone's playing pretty promising hockey right now. I would like to see Vasily Ponomarov back up here before the end of the regular season. I'd like to
I,
see
I,
him
I
get
will
more
say
ice time.
this. I I'm happy to see Lemieux and how do you say it?
Ponomarov.
Panamarov.
Yeah.
Grazie, signore.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, it's hard to
we,
ask
we
for
get
Lemieux to not be in the lineup when he's playing so well over. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to get Ponomarov in the lineup because the few times Lemieux does get into the lineup, he plays well and he gets points. So it's like,
yeah,
you know,
and he's physical,
and he's physical. Yeah,
which I like.
he had a play against Bennington that I love because we know Bennington's a little shithouser and Lemieux's a little shithouser as well. So Bennington has his puck or has his stick laid against the ice. The puck is behind the net, right? So he's got his stick laid out and extended, trying to block a potential pass to the front. Lemieux just the puck is nowhere near, but Lemieux is just whacking at his stick just to get it out of there, just to do it, right? And I love
Yeah,
that type of stuff. Like he's
yeah,
being proactive, he's being annoyingly aggressive. You know, it may not lead to anything, but it might lead to Bennington taking a slash at him with his stick, and then you're on the
mhm.
power play again. So good stuff like that. Just these little tiny things. I like Lemieux. I like what he's brought to the team so far. He's not the fastest guy, but he's a gritty guy, and he's been excellent. But yeah, I'd like to see Ponomarov back in. Yeah. What else? Anything else before we sign off, Phil?
No, I think it's not an easy schedule, but certainly there's some winnable games in there.
Mm-hmm.
Kings are a good team. We talked about the Devils and the Bruins, but don't sleep on at the end of the month. Arizona's 19-17.
Yeah,
So
Arizona's been playing well.
yeah,
Everyone in the National Hockey League can beat anyone else on any
Yeah.
given night, with maybe the exception of the Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks. But other than those two teams, any and we know
They
full
can,
well.
but they can win
Of course,
too.
of course. I mean, take a look at the shape of a hockey puck.
Yeah.
Throw it on ice and see what happens. It bounces all sorts of ways, right? Like crazy things can happen with that puck. So yeah, anyone can beat anyone on any given night. Hopefully Carolina doesn't take that for granted, and hopefully they can really continue their hot streak with the rest of the month, because they've got a really good opportunity to really build some distance, really gain some really meaningful points that are gonna matter at the end of the season.
I'm gonna go see if I can go see Panomarov.
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
He's up here, so we can go
yeah,
watch the Wolves play.
definitely. That'd be
So
fun.
he's 21 years old. He's got 20 points in 22 AHL games with Chicago and Tucson.
It's good.
It's not bad.
It's good.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will try to have these episodes out, like our regular scheduled time, Sunday or Monday. This one, like I said, we're using a little bit of a different technology here, so really appreciate you sticking with us. If you are a listener every week, we really appreciate it. Please share this as much as possible. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. I hate groveling and asking, I really do, but we really appreciate it. Hopefully this comes out to you on Wednesday. It might be Thursday before the Ducks game, before I am able to get it out. I do want to kind of spruce this up a little bit, maybe put a couple graphics on screen, so we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week on Stormwatch. Goodbye.
Thanks, everybody.